So, welcome to the Showcase, the podcast that shines a light on trailblazers of the West End. And if you're watching or listening today, you will most certainly be green with envy about my next guest. That's right, from Elphaba to Evita with a bit of Grisabella thrown in. This leading lady is an all-acting, all-singing masterclass in powerhouse performance. She has rocked the Dominion, she has soared at the Savoy, and most recently she was acclaimed at the Aldwych. And she is also, and she may not know this, but a fully paid up member of the Hun community, thanks to her appearance on the Footballers' Wives, the musical cast album, which I just mentioned to her. Nice little plug there. Yes, I will be quiet before her ego defies gravity. It's Emma Hatton.
Hello there.
Did my homework there.
Quite an introduction, yeah.
Exactly.
It's quite nice to reflect back on some of the jobs that I've done.
I mean, the first question, the obvious question is, what is more of an honour, that impressive roll call of West End roles you've got, or the fact that you've just been called a Hun?
I think the latter.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, not everyone can be called a Hun, can they?
Because you actually went on, was it Gemma Collins' podcast?
I
did a sort of a masterclass in...
I did. Sometimes I forget some of the things that I've been asked to do. That was quite something. She was lovely, I have to say.
Yes.
She was really warm, really lovely. I think Jedward were living with her at the time.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
They came in. I can't remember how that came about, but I just remember getting a phone call saying, "Are you good to go live with Gemma Collins right now?" And I was like, "Sure, I've got nowhere to be today." So yeah.
A story you'd never expect to be telling.
Yeah, but no, she was great. She was lovely.
I think she's always had aspirations to be in musical theatre, I think.
Yeah, and I think we talked about her going into Chicago, and then literally like months later, I got messages from all my friends saying, "Look what you made happen."
Yes.
And she got announced as going in as Mama Morton. Did she ever go in?
I don't actually think that did happen. I'm not quite sure why, but yes.
Well,
but,
she was
you
great.
got her there. So.
I loved her. The GC, we love you, the GC.
Exactly. Yeah. Finding new talent. There we go. And obviously you are here to talk about, arts and theatre. But I'm really intrigued as well, because obviously looking at everything that you've done, getting to this point, you've run the London Marathon twice.
No, only once.
Oh, once.
Only once.
Blame
yes.
Wikipedia for that one.
Yes, I actually was training for it the first time and had to... pull out because I was injured.
Oh, I see.
And then I did eventually run it. I think it was in 2015.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I would just bow down to anyone that's done that, because I just think
I was slow. I was really slow. But I just said to myself, I'm not a long distance runner by any stretch.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I'll just do it and raise some money, and I finished, and that was all I wanted to do. And it was an amazing thing, but I probably won't do it again.
Well, I was going to ask, what for you would you say is more of an endurance test? Doing something like the London Marathon, or doing 8 shows a week when you were in whatever the role might be, but a really demanding...
I mean, I'm gonna sort of refer to the interview that the wonderful Nicole Scherzinger did maybe like last year when she was doing Sunset Boulevard, and I think that it's become almost like a meme where she said that West End performers are athletes. 8 shows a week is incredibly tough. It doesn't matter how demanding the role is. Obviously, there's a scale of the bit on stage that you're doing, but just the mental toll that it can take on anybody to do anything repetitively 8 times a week. Obviously, there's variety with the audiences, and there's always a slightly different atmosphere from day to day, how you're feeling, and you've got covers on, which is great. And shout out to all the swings and covers, because they hold our industry up.
Of course.
But doing anything for that amount of time, even, particularly when you are in, say, one theatre, you have the same journey in, same journey out. It's a challenge, and I think that there's more awareness now, but I'm very passionate about the necessity of, with our training that we offer to people coming into this industry, it can't just be about how to hit notes, how to, dance certain moves, how to tell stories. It also has to be about the whole managing of yourself as a performer, and what that takes to do that emotionally, mentally, spiritually. There's a lot, and it's a real privilege to do it, but it is really, really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose it must take, I've spoken to other people about this, but a lot of resilience in the sense as well that, particularly if you're leading a show, I suppose you're being pulled in so many different directions. You know, if you are Elphaba and This Morning want you on, they're going to want you because you're Elphaba. So it must be all of those other bits.
Yeah, I think as well, I mean, we were back at the time when it truly was 8 shows a week as Elphaba. And I was really fortunate that I started as the standby. And I think that was such a wise move from the company, where they've done it way more recently, where the standby gets promoted, because you get a chance to sort of build that tenacity and that stamina and feel your way through. You know, you get to build up doing 8 shows a week. Yeah. But yes, the pressures and the responsibility and the demands keep coming. Yeah. And that's why the importance of self-care, I know it sounds like a buzzword now, but like looking after yourself and how that looks different for different people, you know, whether it be the rest they get, the diet, the support system, you know, the environments that they're in, it shouldn't be overlooked. And you know, it's part of the job. It is part of the job. Of course, you want to go and do all of these amazing PR opportunities, and we benefit from them as well. It's great exposure for us, and it's exciting, and it breaks up the day. But then, you know, you mustn't forget that person probably is then going in a car from the ITV studios that they were at 9 o'clock in the morning to then go and perhaps sleep in their dressing room for a couple of hours before they green up again and go on stage and perform in front of 2,000 people. And I think that's why also kindness in our industry is super important. You know, the fact that we need to have, and there is some, but I think we need to work on our compassion and our kindness as an industry, and the support aspect of it, because, you know, not just Elphaba. I mean, Elphaba is one of those roles that I think is sort of placed on a pedestal, but Evita was harder. That was a harder role, but I think because Elphaba is, you know, it's wicked, isn't it? Yes. But I think that, you know, just recognizing that people are doing their best, and that, you know, the bit on stage is just a fraction of the actual job. And the lifestyle that comes with that, and supporting each other through that is really, really important.
Because you mentioned lifestyle as well. And, you know, I know I've only done Amdram shows and things like that, but, you know, you'll come off stage and you've got that euphoria. And of course, you then want to go for a glass of wine with your friends, or you just want to go and have some junk food because you're like, I've just been on stage. But again, when you're doing that 8 shows a week, that must be really hard as well to sort of, I suppose, stay focused on that side of it, where it's like, well, you can't go out and, you know.
Do you know what? I think for me, I was very fortunate that, well, in many ways, there's lots of things that I could discuss with this, but the main things for me is that my support network is stellar, my family, my friends, and that's something that I have put a lot of time and energy into. And they keep me and kept me very grounded, and a sense of perspective, really, really important. I also didn't come through a conventional, like, musical theatre was everything to me. I did a degree in sports science. I had a life before that. Musical theatre was another thing that I loved. And so I've always said I take it seriously, but I don't take myself seriously. You know, it's not life or death. My sister's a paramedic, so I've got that sense of what matters and what doesn't. So the approach to the job for me, first of all, I couldn't believe that I'd got the job, because I was just like, okay, sure, I'll give it a go.
Did this on the side.
But it wasn't that I'd been singing Defying Gravity for 10 years in the hope that I was going to get Elphaba. So maybe I hadn't applied so much pressure to myself. I just thought, I've been given this opportunity. I will bring the best of myself to this job. I will give you 100% of what I've got. But maybe because my training was in sport, for me it was always like, the psychology of that was so important. It's a holistic thing. You have to take care of all of the pieces of the pie. So that's the rest, the diet, but also for me, connection is really, really important. Seeing my friends, seeing my family. And that was probably one of the biggest sacrifices for me, because I was just so tired all the time. But I tried not to restrict. So everything in moderation.
Yeah.
Exercise in moderation. I did what I could. Diet, I'd never really deprived myself of anything. I still drank coffee, I still drank wine, I still ate cheese. And some days it would be harder than others. But if I felt like I'd maybe pushed it too far I'd eaten too much cheese, or I'd not had an early enough night, or I'd overused my voice during the day, you just sort of recalibrate, and then the next day you pull back and you vocal rest, or you and I think because of the people in my life, they just reminded me that this was just a job and I could take it really seriously, but not to lose who I was.
Yeah. Do you think coming to it from that background, like you said, you had, the athletic side of it and all that, and it wasn't solely focused on musical theatre. I've met and spoken to a lot of people where they've said, this has been my dream, this is all I've worked for, this is all I've got, essentially. Yeah. And do you think actually that was really important, the fact that you have had that, I don't want to use the word safety net, but you've got something else.
Fall back on. Well, it's like my parents always said, you
have other options, essentially. And I suppose...
Yeah. I almost don't think of it as options. I think of it as passions. I have other passions. And whenever I teach, I always say to my students, I'm not saying you need to have a plan B. I'm not saying that you can't give your whole heart to this. Yeah. But find out what else you enjoy. It could be crochet. It could be cats.
Yes.
It could be, reading. It could be CrossFit. It could be tennis. There's so many things that it can be. And I do believe, and I recognize in the people that I feel have a real handle on this industry and manage it really well, is that they love it and they give it everything, but they also have other things that they love, because it just keeps you sane. It keeps you balanced. It means that when the phone call comes in that says you didn't get that job, it doesn't completely detonate your whole world. I always say, I'll give myself a day. I'll wallow. I'll feel it, because if I don't give myself that, then why am I doing this?
Yes.
I still care about it.
Of course.
But I also care about my cat and my boyfriend and my family and my nieces and nephew and the books that I'm reading and my food that I'm going to cook that night. And I've got fixes that I can, if that's not quite gone the way that I wanted it to, I'm like, I can pivot and I can be like, I'm going to go out into my garden now and, I'm going to cook some nice food or read this book that I've been really excited about reading. And and I think also taking control as well. Like, so much of our industry is putting the control into other people's hands.
Of course.
And I've learned over the last, since I've been doing it, so probably 15 years, that you can also take some of the control back. So I do my own gigs. I look at the artists that inspire me and I approach venues and I say, I get a band together and I go down and write a show that I'm going to do, or I've got a podcast that was a passion project, and they're not hugely monetized, but they keep this and this happy. And so when I get the phone call, which inevitably comes very often, thank you so much for your time, it's not going any further, or we're going in a different direction or whatever, I still sometimes have a good old cry and ring my friends and my family, but it doesn't throw me so far off course that I can't get back.
I think that's really interesting. I've mentioned this so many times on this podcast about the idea of disappointment, because again, and Kerry Ellis was the first person I spoke to, actually.
I love Kerry.
And I said to her, the outsider's perspective on it would be, well, she gets every part and she's so successful. And she said, no, it happens all the time. And she said even, my biggest disappointment was to the nation, because when I didn't get a chair turn on The Voice and things like that. And I think it would be really interesting that people hear that, even people that have played Elphaba or Evita and things like that do still get
all the time,
knocked back.
All the time. And I think that, let's be honest, it's unlikely that we're going to go onto social media and be like, hey guys, just wanted to announce that I've just been given a no for this job. You know, it's again, it's that highlight reel, isn't it? But you only really hear about the jobs that happen. I was just with some friends now for lunch, and both of them performers as well. And we were saying how, when we do gigs or concerts, we post about it, because we still need to be, that's our business card, and we still need to be like, hey, I'm here, and that we're relevant, or, you know, so that eyes on our screen might go, oh, I'd forgotten about so-and-so, like I need someone for my gig. Oh, so that your name is on the tip of their tongue.
Yeah.
And that visibility. But like we were saying, like, make no mistake, that doesn't mean we're busy all the time. We're just posting when we are busy, because that is part of our job, essentially. Like we are a one-man band. We're the publicity, we're the, you know, we do all of those things.
Yeah, of course. And your trajectory, actually, you mentioned obviously the fact that you started as a standby in Wicked.
Yeah.
And I think that you were the first standby who then went into playing the role.
Yes, so Kerry was Kerry was the original, but I think Kerry was always billed to take over from Adina.
Yeah.
So I was the first standby that they promoted.
Yeah.
After a lot of attempts. It wasn't like, she's a standby, let's move her up. I think I auditioned 4, maybe 5 times as the standby.
Oh, wow.
To either go on tour as Elphaba or take over in town. And it was on I think it was the 5th occasion that I actually broke them down and got them to give it to me.
Well, I was going to ask about that, because how much of it do you think is down to circumstance? Because I know, you know, your run there, you were kind of, there were a lot of very sort of iconic, I suppose, performers playing that role, you know, Willemijn, and then Kerry came in, didn't she? Jennifer Denoy.
Yeah.
How much of it, they were obviously, you know, Willemijn wasn't supposed to leave when she did, and then I think Kerry came back but had a lot of dates where she couldn't do.
So many circumstances.
And do you look back on that and think, well, actually, everything sort of happens for a reason,
100%.
in the sense that as time will have gone on, they'll have been like, brilliant, well, you know.
That's my safety net in life. Like, I inherited that from my mum. She always says, you know, I just believe that things do happen for a reason. And at the time, it was really tough, because I was like the go-to girl. Like, all of those circumstances, Willemijn's injury, Kerry's schedule, different circumstances. We were going to have somebody come in from the tour who was going to come into town, and then they didn't end up coming in. Yeah. There were lots of different circumstances, and each one of them felt like a bit of a kickback, because I was having to go on stage at night and perform as Elphaba. Yes. Frequently. And yet I was going into a room much like this and singing Defying Gravity, like still having green ears, you know, and still getting told no. Yeah. And it was just about trusting that I was still doing a good job. Yeah. And believing in myself. No one was coming to me and saying, we're not happy with what you're doing. I also knew there was it wasn't an ideal fit in terms of my height. I'm quite short. Yeah. So Willemijn was a lot taller than me.
Oh, interesting.
And so Willemijn and Savannah were paired together beautifully. Yes. But I am still quite short. Yeah. So as a pairing, I wasn't ideally the right height. Yeah. But I think there came a point where they were like, this girl just keeps coming back in, and she's a workhorse, you know, she's like, well, it was sort of tried and tested for them. Yeah. And I think that what was so beautiful about that time, and I'll never forget the day that it was announced that I was taking over. And a few friends, one of my lovely friends, Adrian Hansel, who's such a support. He's such a supportive voice in our industry. And I remember him saying it. I think it was like, I got to my phone, and my phone had just absolutely, like, it was red hot because the news had been announced. Yeah. And he said, like, this feels like a win for our industry, because it wasn't a stunt casting or celebrity casting, which has its place, of course it does. Of course. But it was like, I felt like I was this nobody from the West Country who doesn't really know what she's doing. You know, I'm not trained as a singer. I did a 1-year course at the LSMT, which was wonderful, but it was all quite like, everything that I've done has been quite like fly by the seat of my pants. I'm not your legit MT girl. Yeah. And so it just felt like a reward for tenacity, hard work, hopefully like the right attitude, being nice, having a good reputation on and off stage. I hope. I'm saying that. I mean, some people might be watching this and being like, she was awful when I worked
I've got stories to tell.
But I do hope that, and I do believe that it felt like a win for the sort of underdog. Yeah. You know, it was like, you don't have a profile. You aren't known. You know, you're not going to get bums on seats for your name.
Yeah.
But you can do 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
Convincingly. And I was really proud of that. And I felt like it was a really lovely moment for our industry.
Yeah.
And would have given me a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Had I have been an onlooker.
And I suppose it's because it is one of those shows, like you were saying with stunt casting, obviously it doesn't stunt cast, but because there are sort of big names within that world who play it, and Wilhelmine had obviously done it internationally and all of that.
Yeah.
So I suppose in some ways, the longer you were there as a standby, you were building up your profile, certainly within the world and within the fan base.
Yeah. And also Jenny came over from Broadway, and that for me, that was the point when I got that email. I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
Like I know my competition, not my competition, but I know my peers here.
Yeah.
We've gone worldwide. Like I can't compete with that. Like it almost felt like they really don't want to give me this job so much that they're going across the pond to look for people. But it wasn't that at all. It's such a beautiful show, and it's such a well-oiled machine, and it's so precious that role.
Yes.
They've got to get it right.
Yeah.
And they did. They put the right people in at the right time. And when I eventually got it, I didn't care that I was like, I wouldn't have cared if they'd offered it to 60 people before me.
Yeah.
That's none of my business. You've given it me now.
Yes.
And you will get what I bring, and I'll give you my best, and I will give you 100% of what I've got.
Yeah.
And that is not going to be to everyone's tastes. I know that because people tell you on the internet.
And I was going to actually ask that because of the pressures that go with that role, not just vocally or in terms of physical health, but the mental health side of it, like I say, with everyone has an opinion on that role.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have an opinion on who does what riffs in what number and all of that.
Yeah.
How much did you, pay attention to that, but also how easy was it to switch off and go, like you say, I can't please everyone?
I think, first of all, when I first started, I was curious as to how I was being received. And as they say, curiosity killed the cat. I was visiting a friend in Australia. Cut a long story short, she wanted to watch a video of me doing it because she wasn't going to get to see me do it. And I was still standby at the time. I set the video up for her to watch. I went into the bedroom and she was like, oh, you know, people are saying these things about you. Wow, wow, wow. And then she was like, oh, and then she just went quiet. And I said, what does it say? Oh. And it was, I mean, I can laugh about it. I laughed about it then, but I was a bit like, whew, that's a bit. And somebody wrote, when she hits the high notes, it sounds like she's being sick. And I thought, well, yeah, it's hard. Actually, like sometimes when you're up there, it is a little bit, you know, do you feel a bit nauseous actually?
Yeah.
And I made a decision. I was like, right, that's it. The end. I don't need to see any of this because there are going to be people that think you're the best thing since sliced bread. And there are going to be people that sit behind their computers, the keyboard warriors, who will say these things. And to them, I say, have a go. The floor is yours. If you want to have a go, by all means. But I'm doing my best.
Of course.
If you don't like it, that's absolutely fine. Nobody's forcing you to be here.
And I do truly believe, without knocking the fandom, because obviously I'm sure they're hugely supportive.
Oh, and they're wonderful. They are. For the most part, they really are. But of course, there are a few meanies that sort of slip in.
But I was going to say, I do think sometimes the people that will write those comments are probably the first person that would come over at the stage door and say, can I have a picture or what have you? So I think a lot of the time... You often hear
that, don't you? If someone's been trolling someone and then when they meet them, they're like, and they get called out on it, they're like, I'm so sorry, I was having a bad day.
Yeah.
And I just think if you're having a bad day, put the phone down.
Yeah. Yes.
Just go and eat some chocolate.
Yeah.
Find a cat to stroke.
Yes.
And all will be well.
Wise words.
Don't feel like you need to tell me what you think about my singing because rest assured, the worst thing you can say about my singing comes nowhere near some of the things I've said to myself about my own singing.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't hurt me.
Yeah.
I've said worse.
Yeah. And it's such, you know, that show is so heavily built around chemistry.
Yeah.
And one thing I'm always fascinated by as well is when you look at, you know, you were just saying, you know, height-wise, maybe you weren't the perfect match, but when you look at, you know, the Glinda and Elphaba, there is so much truth to it. And, you know, particularly when you sing For Good and all of that, you know, you really feel the emotion. How easy or how hard is it? I don't know if you even knew Savannah before, but how easy is it to build that relationship?
I was really lucky with Savannah. If you've not met Savannah, she is one of the purest, warmest people I've ever met. And she's so generous as a performer. She's beautiful to look at. Yeah. So I just stare at her sometimes. I think what was so lovely with Sav is that we built this beautiful friendship together through my time as standby. So she was so supportive of me when I was coming on and like jumping into that role. And I was so vastly different to Willemijn. I mean, Willemijn is just a hero. I love her so much, and I learned so much from her. Yeah. But I also was like, I am not Willemijn. I can't do what she does. So I just have to bring what I bring. Yeah. And Sav was so receptive to that. And so we built up this beautiful connection. Yeah. And she was so happy for me when I eventually took over. And I think also she was grateful to have some stability. Yeah. Because she'd obviously been playing with lots of different people. So I was a constant for her that had been there. We're very different as people. So I'm sure she got frustrated at times with me because Sav's show is like, it's like clockwork. She is so consistent. Oh, right. Whereas I'm a little bit more naughty. Oh, I'm a bit more playful. Yeah.
Didn't they say that though about Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, that they were so different?
Really?
I'm sure I've heard that before, where they obviously say we have such a bond, but we were completely different.
Oh, well, I know that. I mean, I still speak to Savannah now. We actually spoke not that long ago. We're on the phone for over an hour. Like she's really special to me, and we shared a really, really special relationship and period of time together. And I just love the fact that we went through something huge together, and I'll never forget those last shows that we did for good. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it because they are such special moments within the show. I mean, it's a beautiful show anyway, but like right at the end, people often ask like, "What's your favorite song to sing?" And For Good is up there because it's just such a special moment to kind of solidify your connection that you've built throughout the journey that you've gone through as a pairing. And even watching the film. Yes. I know we've not seen that part of the film yet, but just the bond that Ariana and Cynthia had, and those little looks and those little moments that they had. I was bawling in the cinema. I'm sure everybody was, to be fair.
What is it like? Because I've seen the odd cast change actually, and part of my favourite bit, that probably sounds a bit wrong, but it is that moment where they sing it for the last time, because you really feel it's almost not the characters, it is the actors. But what does it actually feel like when you're going into a song like that, which is so moving and the words are just so, there is so much meaning to them? How does it feel? Are you conscious of, I'm doing this for the last time?
Yeah, 100%. Really? The role of Elphaba, I think is so superbly written. Yes. Both musically and the book, and it demands so much from you physically and emotionally. Like there is no autopilot on that show. There is none. Yeah. You can't. Because even if you dare to go into autopilot, the music for me is so rousing that it would snap me out of it. Yeah. It's that moment when she hands the Grimoire over. Yeah. And obviously Chistery's there as well. It's truthful. It's really truthful. And I don't think you can cheat it. I really don't think you can. And I've always sung from a place of truth. I've always relied on the fact that as long as my technique is sound and developed, that to do the show justice and the piece justice, you have to just forget about the singing and just think about the truth. Yeah. That sounds really cheesy, doesn't it? But in those moments, and I was really, really lucky that also one of my really close friends, Sophie Linda-Lee, who we were standby together. Yes. And she, poor Savannah, I think, broke her ankle at one point. And so Sophie came and did 6 weeks as Glinda. And we were both tiny as well. We were like eye to eye. And that last show together was just... she was going on. She'd just got Rocky Horror, so she was leaving early. Oh, wow. And we were bereft. Yeah. But we used it.
Of course.
You know, and I feel so fortunate to have had so much cathartic moments on stage where I've been able to like, you know, express all of these big emotions through the most beautiful music and storytelling.
And I think that is what makes it so relatable when you do see the performers so moved by it and so emotive. I think that's why people really do connect with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You obviously left just before it turned 10.
Yes.
And it's about to turn 20 next year.
Wild.
I've always thought what would work really well is if you had one show where you almost celebrated every pairing, I suppose. So you almost had one pairing coming out and doing...
Oh, I see what you mean.
What is this feeling?
Yeah.
One doing Defying Gravity. Do you know what I mean? And you sort of switch over throughout.
Yeah.
If they did something like that, would you do it?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great idea. You should do that.
Exactly. And I want full credit for that if it happens.
Yeah. Give me... I'm just trying to think which bit I would want, though.
Yeah, well, wouldn't everyone either want For Good or Defying Gravity?
I'd want For Good, I think,
Well, you've said that first, so again...
I want For Good. I'm
noted
Bagsy.
Producers.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the film coming out, obviously you mentioned For Good is the sequel comes out really soon. Was that is it quite a proud moment as well as a former performer from that show to see? I mean, it was big when you were in it, but it's huge now as well.
It's taken over the entire world.
Yeah.
It was really surreal. I went to watch it twice. I went to watch it with my boyfriend, and it was epic and it was wonderful because we weren't together when I was in the show. Oh, right. So it was really special for him to see something that was so familiar to me. And and also I went to see it with my family back at home with my nieces and nephew who did come and see me in it when they were tiny. Oh, wow. And I felt simultaneously like ownership over it, like a sense of like, not possessiveness because that sounds really negative, but like ownership, like a pride and an ownership and a bond, and also just complete like awe at what they had achieved. I just thought it was they took all of the best bits of the musical and then elevated it. And I think the performances from particularly Cynthia and Ariana were so good.
It really
I think coming from having played the part and feeling such ownership of it, there was a danger that I was going to be like, what if I don't like what they've done with it? And I just loved it. I thought it, and also having somebody like Cynthia, who a homegrown talent, who's gone to like stratospheric heights. Her singing, that's a given. She's got a God-given talent. That was incredible. For me, the takeaway was the storytelling.
It really was.
It was the storytelling. Like, it was just so raw and so honest. And it just, they ticked every box with it. I think, and it really honoured what the fans wanted as well. And like you say, you know, the fact that Cynthia came from a musical theatre background, it didn't feel like stunt casting. It was two really passionate people. I completely agree. We're running out of time, but I am just going to throw some quick fire at you. Oh gosh, okay.
So whatever comes to your head first.
Okay.
Some of this you've kind of already answered, but...
I'm such a waffler, I'm sorry.
No, it's brilliant. A lot of my questions you've preempted, so north or south of the river?
North.
I would agree. Working out or chilling out?
Working out.
A sprint or a marathon?
Sprint.
Singing on a balcony or singing on a cherry picker? You might see what I've done.
Clever. I'm gonna say singing at great height, and that covers both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well trained there. Working with animals or working with children?
Animals.
A full face of makeup or au naturel?
Au naturel.
Scrolling for comments or switching off?
Switching off.
Very, very healthy. We mentioned singing on a balcony.
Yeah.
You obviously played Evita.
Yes.
Which, again, is such a huge, iconic role. And particularly now, you know, with the new revival. Yes. What are your thoughts on that? Because, again, the balcony scene has been, I suppose, quite divisive in some ways, but it has, you know, been a huge marketing tool for that show.
Yeah, so clever.
What do you think about that aspect of it?
I think it's really, really clever. I think, I've not seen it yet. I think I'm a bit of a purist in the sense that like the version of Evita that I did with like, you know, your sort of typical set costumes, etc.
Yeah.
But I also think that, you know, I love the creative brain. I love the fact that Jamie Lloyd is just like pushing boundaries. And I just think that, you know, there's also room for, if we're going to do revivals, you can't just pull like old hat. You can't just be like, okay, let's just do the same but different.
Yes.
I think it's so vastly different from what I understand. And I think what a clever, you know, and also what a way to open up the world of theatre to people who perhaps aren't regular theatre goers, who aren't really sure. Like, I just think whether that was whatever their sort of initial seed of their intent was, I think that anything that gets theatre exposure, that is obviously in a positive light.
Yes.
You know, to raise our value in the eyes of the people that can help theatre continue and invest in theatre. I'm all for it. I think it's a really, really clever, and also what an incredible, like, you know, the scenery to be able to do that.
Well, exactly.
Why would you not? There is no other way, really. If you're going to be in that space, what alternative do you have? And obviously Jamie Lloyd is notorious for his camera work.
Yes.
And all of that. And I just think, like I say, I'm yet to see it. Maybe if I saw it, I'd be like, retract that. I think it's awful. But I think the fact that there's crowd. I mean, I was at a gig last night with chatting with a bass player of mine, and he was saying how his daughter was walking through London and suddenly captured, you know, managed to catch a performance of "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina," and I was like, let's push the boundaries, because what's the harm?
Exactly. And I think in the world we live in now, which is dominated by social media, but actually it has been a really clever way of, like you say, visibility for the arts, and whether you like it or not, you're talking about it. So you know, that's key.
I will say, if it were me, I don't know how I'd feel about going outside if it was raining.
Well, I was, just thinking.
I'd have been like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know what the contingency. Should we just, you get the gist.
Stick to the Ken Wright version.
Yeah, we'll just put the video on. And I was going to ask you, because you've just finished in Tina the Musical playing Rhonda.
Yes, I've actually got her boots on.
Oh, an homage.
I don't know if you can see. They let me keep my boots, and I'm thrilled, but they are chafing a bit today.
So you're still technically walking in her shoes.
I am.
Yes.
Yes. Love Rhonda.
And you played that role for 2 years, I think it was.
2 beautiful years, yeah.
And I always wonder, as an actress, when you're in a kind of big ticket musical, which you've done, obviously, with this role and previous roles, is there a certain appeal, not just obviously the passion for the job, but the security of a job like that? Because I suppose when you're in a show that you know might run and run, and it's more likely to run and run, how much of a safety net
for sure. I don't think there's any sort of shame in saying that at all. You know, we are self-employed. We all have bills to pay and mouths to feed. And I, to be honest with you, just before the pandemic, I'd made the decision. I'd been so lucky. I almost had like a run of like a golden era of musical theatre. I did, you know, Dreamboats into We Will Rock You, into Wicked, into Evita, into Cats, into I didn't stop, and I was so fortunate. I was exhausted and I was burnt out, and so I made the decision that I was going to step away and I was going to take some time to do some concert work and try and sort of capitalize on the profile that I'd built, and just take my foot off the pedal slightly. Be careful what you wish for, because then there was a global pandemic. And I was like, right, okay. And then what happened is that I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be in a musical again, because I'd sort of stepped away from it. However, Tina was a role that one of my dear friends, Francesca Jackson, played Rhonda, original cast. Went to see her, and I've still got the email that I sent to my agent saying, I'd love to be seen for Rhonda. If that ever comes up. And lo and behold, I got the job. I didn't get it the first time. First year I didn't get it. Second year I got it. And for me, there was like a two-pronged approach. First of all, I believed in the show. I thought it was a beautiful show, really special. And I thought the role was fundamental. I thought it had sass. I thought it had, you know, some real integrity to it. I wanted to tell that story. I also wanted to get back into theatre.
Yeah.
And so it served two benefits to me. And after the first year, they ask you after 6 months, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I was like, I've just started. I love it. I can do other things alongside it. It's not too challenging.
Yeah.
Costumes are great.
Yeah.
Team's great. Lovely. Second year, about halfway through the second year, my creative brain was starting to get a bit twitchy. And I'd done a few of my own concerts alongside it.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of... we're constantly torn between stability, creativity, and walking away from a job. You know, they asked me if I wanted to stay. The offer was there, and I was just like, I don't believe. And I actually remember a lovely friend of mine, Shoshana Bean. I remember listening to an interview with her years ago, and she talked about how, you know, when she's auditioning for a job, when she gets a job, does she believe that she can show up 8 times a week, you know, for the matinees, this, that, and the other, and give her best with that passion that the project deserves, that the role deserves. Yeah. And I think you have to be really honest with yourself when you're getting to a point where you've perhaps done it for a long time, 8 shows a week, the commute, the hours, the sacrifice, 1 day off a week, not seeing your family. Can I sign a contract for another year and show up and give this show the best of myself? No. Yeah. I couldn't do it for another year. And the show deserves better than that. Yeah. And that sounds like I'm a real martyr and like, I did for the good of the show. No, it was for my own good as well. Yeah. But I do think that had I have stayed on, and sadly it's closing in 3 months, so I would have stayed on. Yeah. But if you feel like you're already struggling to, you know, you kind of crawl into the finish line. Yeah. Of course, you know, that's a privileged position to be able to say, I'm going to turn down a salary. Yeah. But I do believe that if I want a stable job, there are other industries that I can go and do that. I can go and work in an office. I can go and do something else. The arts deserve you to be able to bring your passion to it. Yeah. And so I had to say, thank you so much. 2 years. I've had a beautiful time. I now hand the Rhonda baton over with love. And also lovely to give an opportunity. That sounds really like, it's not my opportunity to give, but I just think you're creating space there for someone, somebody else to come in who will bring fresh energy, fresh enthusiasm. And I think that's really important to do that for a show if you're able to. That's of course, that's... Some people need to stay in jobs because they need to keep that money and, you know, I completely respect and understand that. Yeah. I was able to say, I've saved a bit of money. I have other projects that I want to do. Yeah. It's time for somebody else to have to take the reins and bring new energy to it. Yeah. As long as you can keep the wardrobe. Well, I only took the boots, but I had and the jewellery. I've got some earrings as well. But Rhonda's costumes were like, they were elite. Yeah, they were great. See, I'm upset now you didn't turn up in Elphaba's dress or something like that. Slightly more difficult. At least Rhonda's slightly like on brand for me. It's like brown suede. Enough. I can do that. But she was what a gift of a role. And also I must say, whilst I'm on here, like to play opposite the women playing Tina. Yes. Like my role was purely supportive in every sense of the word, like to be able to stand with those girls, and I do think that having played those bigger roles in the past, I would like to think that I was able to offer them a shoulder and a support because I knew what they were navigating. And Caris and Zoe and Alicia, who I did it with over and all the covers as well, phenomenal. But my main girls, like they were machines, and they are incredible women to take that role on every day. Well, honestly, speaking to you is so fascinating. I just think your attitude is so healthy but so insightful and so interesting hearing your story as well. Thank you. It's been a process, and I think it's important to note that as well. Like we are constantly learning and constantly making mistakes and trying to build on that. This has not come, I didn't come out the womb like this. I've really worked at it, and I do try and pass it on to the students that I work with, and also learn from the people. I've just been working with a lot of younger people, and I learn from them as well. So it's a cyclical thing, you know. You sort of, is that the right word? Yeah, I think.
Yes,
you know, you sort of all feed into the same thing and help each other and learn from those mistakes. But I'll keep making them. But
well, that's part of the fun of it, isn't it? Well, honestly, I cannot thank you enough for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
It's been absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you in Wicked 20 if that idea comes off. And you can obviously find out way more details on the City Academy socials at City Academy UK. But for now, Emma, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad we finally got this in the diary.
Thank you.
Thank you.